once I found out half the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park was dead. 50% of our glaciers globally had melted. Half our forests had been cut down. 50% of nearly all the food that is made, which has a huge carbon footprint, ends up in bloody landfill, ends up in a bin. And I was partly, terrified, partly furious.
What's up, captains? I've got some exciting news. And don't skip past this because I'm going to tell you how you can win a bottle of my #1 recommended supplement for free, as well as a chance to be granted access to my morning and evening rituals course. All right, so here's the news. I'm being nominated for the first ever Bioptimizers Influencer of the Year award, but I need your help to win. This award goes to the person who best demonstrates Bioptimizer's core values and is living and breathing the Bioptimized lifestyle and sharing it with others every single day. Bioptimizers stands for biological optimization. This means achieving ideal levels of aesthetics, performance, and health. It's a state of existence where all of the body's and brain's functions flow in optimal quantities and operate in perfect harmony. Some of their core values include extreme ownership, test, learn, grow, and evolve, awesomeness, fun and loving, and passionate about health. All of this aligns perfectly with the Captain's Lifestyle's mission to inspire health, happiness, and sustainability by sharing impactful information. Everything about the Bioptimizers brand is exactly what I stand for. My personal core values are excellence, happiness, challenge, inspiration, and adventure. And as you know from the intro to this podcast, my brand's core values are health, happiness, sustainability, inspiration, and learning. Our vision is a world where humans and Mother Nature thrive synergistically. And our massively transformative purpose is to #make thriving standard. A big part of which, of course, is optimizing your biology. So here's where I need your help. The person with the most votes wins the award. And I'm up against people with way more social media followers than me. But numbers aren't everything, because I've got something that they don't. Loyal and supportive relationships with my followers. I always go out of my way to connect with and provide as much value to each of you as I possibly can. And as a thank you for your continued support, I'd like to reward each of you with a free bottle of Magnesium Breakthrough. My #1 and favorite, most recommended supplement. All you have to do to win is email me, Taylor@thecaptainslifestyle.com, with a screenshot of your submission confirmation and use Influencer of the Year as the subject so I can track them all and send you your free bottle. There's a link in the show notes that takes you directly to the nomination page. Just put my name, Taylor Morgan, my Instagram handle, Captain_Taylor_Morgan, your full name, and a few sentences explaining why you think I deserve to win. Everyone who emails me their submission confirmation is also entered for a chance to win access to my morning and evening rituals course, normally $349. This video course details the exact beginning and end of day rituals I teach my one-on-one clients, the Cages morning ritual and the 4-3-2-1-30 method nightly ritual. After completing the course, you'll be able to schedule a free 30-minute coaching call with me where I will give you personalized suggestions based on your specific goals. You'll also get access to the Captain's Lifestyle Crew, which is a database of the latest research in various high-performance topics, as well as a private online mastermind of like-minded high achievers. We meet virtually once a month for 45 minutes and discuss various lifestyle optimization topics. The prize, if I win, is the new iPhone 13 Pro, which I'll use, of course, to create better quality content and YouTube videos for you guys. Thank you again for your continued support and your belief in my mission to inspire health, happiness, and sustainability. Together, we can #make thriving standard. Again, the link to submit your vote is in the show notes. Send a screenshot of your submission to Taylor@thecaptainslifestyle.com to win. Voting ends November 18th. What's up, captains? This week's episode is with Jimmy Halfcut, a fellow ecopreneur and the founder of HalfCut.org, which we're going to talk all about in today's episode, and his mission to end and reverse deforestation, something I'm super passionate about, and I've been passionate about for basically my entire life. In elementary school, I made these little magnets that you could stick on your fridge that talk about the problem of deforestation. And unfortunately, it hasn't gotten any better since then. It's only continued to get worse, which we're going to talk about in this episode, and why he founded HalfCut, and why if I raise my donation goal, then I'm going to shave half of my beard. That's right. So I love my beard. It's great. It's something I take pride in. But once I found Jimmy and everything he's doing with HalfCut, I was like, damn, like that cause is worthy. The forest needs my beard more than I do. And it's a great way to spread awareness and start discussing what is happening with our forests and this problem of deforestation. So I knew I had to interview him on the podcast, and it was a great episode. And I decided to join in on the cause. So if we raise our goal, or if we meet our goal, or should I say, when we reach our goal of raising $5,000 for HalfCut, I will shave half of my beard. So sorry to those of you who like my beard, and you're welcome to those of you who have been waiting to see the beard go. But we have all of November to raise money collectively to this cause. All of it goes towards funding deforestation and actually saving plots of land to stop the deforestation. So we have the whole month of November to raise that money. And once we achieve that goal of $5,000 raised, I will be shaving it December 1st. And I'm extremely confident that we're going to hit that. If we don't, I'll be disgusted and ashamed, because this is a worthy cause. And I think it'll be interesting to see me with only half a beard, right? Half clean shaven, half fully grown beard. So be cool. And I want to tell you guys before we dive into the show, how you can either donate or join my team and help spread awareness yourself and start raising money yourself. So to do that, you just will click the links in the description or the show notes of this podcast. There will be a link just to donate to my personal page. If you don't want to join my team, that's totally fine. You can donate, and that will be a link down in the description. If you want to join my team, the Captain's Crew, and help raise money yourself, spread the message yourself, then there will be a link for that as well to join the team. My personal goal is to raise $1,000, and I've already donated $500 of my own money to that goal. The goal for the Captain's Crew, which is our team collectively, is to raise $5,000. And once we reach that $5,000 goal by December 1st, I'll be shaving half my beard. So there you have it. The links are in the show notes of this podcast. So please, please, please donate or join my team would be even better to help spread this message. And this will be one of the last podcasts that you see with my beard. So it's going. I know for a fact we're going to raise that $5,000 goal, and I'm excited for it. So now, with all that said, let's dive into today's episode with Jimmy Halfcut. Hello, and welcome aboard another episode of the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast. This is your captain speaking, Taylor Morgan. On today's episode, we have another special guest. His name is Jimmy Halfcut, and you're about to see why. Jimmy is the co-founder of HalfCut, and he has been HalfCut for over 5 years. He is a walking, talking, visual disruptor to start a conversation about conservation. He loves forests, wildlife, people, and our planet, and he's on a mission to save the Daintree rainforest, rewild the Earth's rainforest, and go code green. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Captain, how are you, mate? Thanks so much for having us. What an intro. That was spectacular. Thanks for that, mate.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. And let's show everybody that glorious half-cut beard you got there. Oh, yeah.
So it's almost like this is all natural. Like, what's going on here? And then that's obviously all the clear felling and all the not the great stuff. So the thing you just said, mate, that's the metaphor, right? Half the world's forests are cut down. The goal and the dream, mate, is to be able to restore and grow my beard back. So we'll see, mate. I need all the help I can get, put it that way, because I think at the moment, we're sort of losing a little bit more than we are protecting. So we've got to turn that around, right? So that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so let's start off with the big announcement for the Captain's Lifestyle Podcast listeners. I will now be going half cut after this interview. So yeah, once this interview goes live, which should be sometime in November, exact date to be determined, I will be half cut because I too am extremely passionate about these issues. Since, when I was a little kid, when I heard that the rainforests were being cut down, I was like, why on earth would anybody destroy that wonderful habitat? And unfortunately, the problems just kept getting worse. And it's time that people like you and I start to do something about this. And I think the visual representation, it's a fantastic conversation starter. How many times a day do people ask you when you go to the store, what is that about?
Oh, mate, look, it got to the point to just go and get an avocado. It should only take you 5 minutes. It would take an hour and a half sometimes, just because you get caught up in so many conversations. But look, that was the whole point of it, right? Look, I think you definitely got to have that personality that's willing to, have a chat or have a talk about it, and just see where it rolls and where it lands. And look, a lot of the time, I mean, the number one, especially here in Australia, was lose a bet, mate. What's going on? And you go, well, look, mate, we're losing a bit of a bet with Mother Nature at the moment, and our planet and our climate. Half the world's forests are gone. That's why I do it. And they go, oh, bloody hell, that's shocking. I had no idea. And look, I think that's the thing, right? It's that whole awareness and education, because so many people, they don't know this information, and it really isn't in the interest of our major media, because you then see who major media outlets are owned or half owned or controlled by. It's not in their interest to say, oh, hey, half the world's forests are destroyed because of animal agriculture, 80% of the world's forests destroyed because of animal agriculture, development, logging, the list just goes on and on and on. These are enterprises that have made certain people a lot of money with the detriment to wildlife and people, and ultimately our planet. So yeah, look, mate, it's never ending. Actually, I'll say this: obviously, COVID's been horrendous, but it gave me a little bit of anonymity because I had a mask on, right? So it was one of those things I could actually go and get an avocado, and it didn't take me an hour and a half.
Yeah. So let's discuss what started HalfCut in the first place. So when did that whole thing start, and why did you decide to start that?
As a young fella as well, I had a fascination and love for the natural environment. I was fortunate enough to be able to muck around and kick about in a beautiful sort of temperate forest here in New South Wales, Sydney. And unfortunately, it got completely bulldozed and destroyed. And yet we're talking about having massive Sydney eucalypt blue gums that were now an endangered species here in Australia that were 400 to 500 years old. So anyway, look, I witnessed that as a young fellow. My mother at the time was the community organizer, rallying the community together. So I had quite a wonderful, strong mother figure, and so fortunate to have her still here today, because she's all about people, planet, climate, everything you mentioned in the intro, which has been passed down on to me, and I've just sort of steered it in my little direction with the support of my wonderful partner and co-founder Jessica as well. But yeah, look, I think like all of us, mate, we've all witnessed some extremely unjust moment in our life where we've gone, that shouldn't have happened, and why did that happen? And seeing communities torn apart, violence, police raids, assaults. Not much has really changed, right? Since, and I was an 8-year-old boy when this was all happening. So look, I think that was sort of the main catalyst where I was furious. I didn't get and couldn't understand seeing dead animals like dead possums and incredible, massive, powerful owls. And look, I think a chemical reaction went off in my little noggin at the time, on my brain. And I kind of became, very engaged in this stuff at a very young age. But a big major turning point was, I went through all the stuff. Like I was doing the lock-ons, I was being arrested, I was, doing the tough stuff as well, and realizing no one was really quite there when you're going off to court by yourself, or, you feel like you're doing it for the greater good. And look, it does lead a little bit of fury in the soul, right? You're like, well, I'm trying to do this for the greater good, and yet here I am, the one looking a cop a fine, and all the other issues that tag along with that, right? But yeah, ultimately, me and my partner, we saw the writing on the wall quite some time ago. and we decided, so 11 years ago, we decided to go traveling to South America. We wanted to go and see the Amazon. Look at it right now. It's the absolutely horrendous situation and it's in right now. And look, we can only turn that around with people power. That's the only way we can do this. But yeah, so we went to South America and I grew a big beard. You'll see, mate, a bit of a hairy little hobbit as well. It's just, I had to have a shave just before coming onto this because it grows back very quickly, which is a good metaphor, right? That's what we want to do with the planet, help it restore and repair and grow back quickly, whilst protecting the old growth. I mean, that's the really important chunky stuff. We've got to protect anything last remaining old growth. But yeah, we went to South America, grew a massive beard and, we actually evolved, mate. Like our first name for our charity was Beards On for conservation. So we encourage guys to grow beards and that was great and fun. But we realized we cut off half of the population with women and children, more than half, sorry. And we're like, okay, well, yeah. And it was very male dominated, and that was before beards were coming in. So we're doing this back in 2013-ish. Yeah, around then, 2012, 2013. And then, yeah, look, mate, I think as I mentioned, we evolved. Once I found out half the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park was dead, the world's largest living structure on Earth. 50% of our glaciers globally had melted. Half our forests had been cut down. 50% of nearly all the food that we, is made, which has a huge carbon footprint, ends up in bloody landfill, ends up in a bin. 50% of the Arctic is melted. I was kind of went, what is going on? Like, this is terrifying, right? And I was partly, terrified, partly furious. And then I kind of got to the point, I just sort of thought, look, it's half. We're flipping a coin right now. And look, it was probably around the time Batman was on with Harvey Denton flipping his coin, heads or tails. I kind of got that same metaphor, right? Kind of going, well, heads, hey, we get it right. Tails, well, we know how that all ended. So I kind of just went, look, and I went, right, I'm just going to cut my beard in half and I'm going to do it for a year and see what I commit to at least to a year if we reach a certain amount of money to buy back Amazonian Peruvian rainforest. So this was 6.2 million acres of Amazonian rainforest, and we partnered with another mob rainforest trust in the US because I thought, all right, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it for a largest organisation that is doing great works. So we ended up raising, I think, $235,000. They got matched dollar for dollar. So, so nearly $500,000 was raised. And then, unfortunately, everyone then went, no, mate, my donation was matched. You got to wear it for another day. I said, I'll do it for another day. So 5 years later, mate, it's still on, but wearing it as a badge of honor. And it's just brilliant just to see where it's evolved to now, where it's not just about once a furious bloke. I'm now curious because I can just see how many more people just like, whoa, I had no idea. Or now you've got people talking about HalfCut. Oh, it's great. Like, I've actually bumped into people not knowing it's me because I've had a mask on. They go, but they're saying, they go, oh, yeah, go HalfCutters. It's awesome. Like, yes. That's where you start to go, well, we are starting like meeting strangers, that are championing this. And when I say championing it, like, I just love how it's evolved, like people doing half makeup or half braiding for the kids and the women, or even those who aren't as hairy in the face, to the half cut sort of can't quite see the clothes. Mate, I even had a fella in August, which is our major sort of HalfCut month. His 8-year-old son raised $2,000 and he went, mate, you raised $2,000. I'm going to mow the lawn in my budgie smugglers, but only mow half the lawn. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's just stuff like that to a lady eating half a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream for 31 days. And I've now got Ben & Jerry's with their vegan line as a ongoing corporate sponsor. So, it's just incredible, man. I think that's where it is cool because it's that fun, it's hope, it's got the tangible outcome to it with what we do with the buyback and all rainforest restoration. And look, if anything, mate, I think all we can do is just hope more people, get behind it and banner behind it. And if they don't banner behind us, no worries. Like, get behind another group that is doing incredible works. Because I tell you what, like, time is seriously ticking. We are in code red from the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So it's like, well, if we're in code red and we're already seeing those implications, like you guys have had horrendous fires, or we've had horrendous fires, no surprises. If you can only bet, on temperature increase and, another record broken. I mean, I almost feel like there's a campaign in that itself. Hey, let's bet on climate. Let's bet on when the next hottest spring's going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be next year. But it's taking the piss out of something that's pretty shit house. But yeah, so anyway, that's the whole catalyst, mate. I was furious, and then I went HalfCut. It led to being curious, and then it was just great to see how we created something that allowed the individual in the community to come behind it and represent their HalfCut look, feeling, creativity, and it's been awesome to watch it continue to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm sure it's similar there. But here in California, you mentioned the fires, and even here in SoCal, where it's supposed to be an amazing climate almost all year round, we're in September now, and it's hotter than it was months ago, like in the middle of summer. And it's like, why is it getting hotter when it's supposed to be getting cooler? And with the fires that are going on, and people are saying that, it's so sad that this is happening. Yes, it is. But understand that we are the ones that are causing this to happen. Right. And like that horrific fire that happened in Australia a while back, that was devastating. And all these issues that are happening, the hurricanes and all of this. Well, not all of it. I mean, there's obviously still going to be natural disasters like that, but a large majority of these issues can be prevented and reversed.
Yeah, well, that totally prevented. And as you mentioned, we're the driving force behind it. This is human-induced climate emergency. And this is why we have to protect every last forest remaining, because they are carbon sinks, like geography 101, right? We all learn all this stuff in high school, and it's basically been half a century of negligence. There's no other word for this. Half a century of negligence, vandalism, and bullshit from governments and corporates who knew burning these fossil fuels was going to create this damage, who knew this level of broad-scale animal agriculture was going to have this devastating impact. And really, I mean, the other third one I find is a culprit is marketing. How everyone's just, become sort of quick buy, consumerism is now the new religion, where it's quick buy stuff or it's quick buy food. And there's just no thought process to how the energy has gone into made that food. And then just to throw it into landfill. I mean, look, even myself, like I trained as a teacher because I wanted to educate. So I trained as a health education teacher, PDHPE, personal physical education, health and physical education. And then I went off and became an ag science teacher. Feel that whole disconnect for people to even understand the amount of time, resources, and energy that goes into a crop or a food product. I mean, and we just walk into superstores now, and it's just all displayed out, and like there's just no real connectivity for, I feel, a huge chunk of the population to understand even where the food comes from. And if we had a deeper understanding, I want to be more of a conscious thinker when I purchase that, or if you are still eating meat and, or if anything, if you can try and reduce your meat intake, that'd be great, and move more plant-based. As we know, that is one major solution to this emergency we're in right now. But understanding like how that product was made, the water, even the gases and the methane that they've released. I mean, look, sure. I think if we're going back to even old mate David Attenborough 101, like, yeah, sure, we do have a human population crisis and an issue. But I mean, there's no other way of looking at this. I mean, even if we're looking at COVID, like, and I dare to say this, and I've been saying on a few podcasts lately, is, well, look at how we've handled this pandemic. All these professors I'm listening to in the climate world, I mean, we talk about permafrost melting and bacteria that has been stored up there for millions of years. I mean, there's now theories that actually the dinosaurs died of a sort of bacteria before they even, the meteor hit Earth, So, look, who knows, right? And all I'm getting at is the thing that I do find quite frightening with that is, well, yeah, look how we have handled this COVID pandemic. What happens when it's 3 or 4 or 5 kicking off at one time? It's that is, to me, very worrying, because I think as a collective we've handled it pretty appalling, really, on that level. So, but yeah, I mean, look, I guess those solutions are there. It's like we need to get on with mass renewables. People have to be more ethical consumers. People need to divest, as in they need to know where they bank their super electricity. if they're invested in the nasties and the bad stuff, and really get out there and be a champion, put some rent back into this beautiful earth we all call home. We all get food, water, everything, all the gadgets, all the stuff we've got. I think, we have to be better custodians of this planet and seriously just put back in like there's no tomorrow. That's the way I look at it anyway.
All right. Apologies for those technical difficulties. If you guys heard, he was probably coming in a little broken there, but we should be good now, plugged into an Ethernet cable. But to continue on where you left off, that's why I love the listeners of my podcast, because they understand the consumerism, right? I say on almost every single show, consumers are becoming more conscious of what they're buying. And 100% of the time, if a product is labeled with like the B Corp certification, which is like the highest standard of business, or like the 1% for the planet certification, then I will always buy that brand, even if it costs 10 times more than an identical product, just because this company is doing good. And I think it's just a matter of time before the majority of people understand that. I think we just need to speed up the process, because it's getting there slowly. But like you mentioned, right now we're in code red, where we need to like be shouting this. Like everybody needs to understand this concept.
Yeah, there's no winners, right? No one wins with this. And honestly, the next, several years, from my understanding of the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is that 4 years? Is that 5 years? Is it 7? I know it's definitely not a decade, because I would have said a decade. But basically, the next several years, whatever that is, will actually determine, the next, millennia, centuries, decades ahead of us. And really, I think, yes, we know there's a lot going on, and there is a lot going on. There always will be. But people making those right decisions, like, as you mentioned, going with a B Corp or going with 1% for the planets, you're raising the bar constantly. And then you're starting those conversations with family and friends to raise the bar also, because we're all here, right? Like, honestly, we're all winners. I mean, you are. If you're here on Earth, you're a winner right now. I mean, even being here as that individual, like that one sperm cell who got to the egg, right? You're a bloody winner. Yep. So the way I look at it is, be that winner and put back into this Earth that gives us everything, because, it's staggering. The period on time humans have been on Earth. I mean, the best way to describe it, if you threw out a toilet roll and let that whole toilet roll out, and we pulled out one hair and we laid that on that toilet paper vertically, that shows how long we've actually been here. And we've done this much damage. Like, we've never seen CO2 levels of this kind ever in history, taking massive, big, basically stored memories of ice. They've said, yeah, look, we've never had this level, and it's human induced, right? And I think I was mentioning before I was cutting out, I'll say again, mate, I had better reception in Bolivia in South America in the Amazon basin than you do here in Sydney, Australia, a developed country. Mind you, we're a developed country, but we are the only developed country in the top 11 for deforestation. I think at one stage we're coming third. Yet we are the youngest country to be colonised. It's disgraceful. And actually half of our bush scrub is actually already being clear-felled. Yeah. For what? Animal agriculture. So, look, people who are willing to raise the bar, they're the champions. They're the ones I love. We're with 1% for the planet. And it's just brilliant, because we're getting heaps of wonderful ethical businesses who are like, look, we love what you guys are doing. You've got your tangible outcome with Daintree buyback, like $2.50, right? Half the price of a coffee or a bad coffee, right? We can protect the world's oldest rainforest, 120 million years of continuous evolution from being developed on. Like, by all rights, we shouldn't be even doing what we're having to do. But again, our government here and government at the time are bloody deplorable. There's just no other word for it. Like, what current prime minister holds up a lump of coal and says coal is good for humanity, in a parliamentary sitting, like, it's just backwards Stone Age crap. They're dinosaurs, they're fossil fools, they're just, but they're owned. They're the problem here with Australia, we are so owned. Left and right, or not say left and right, Labor, Liberal, They're so owned by the big mining mega giants, and that's why they just keep on getting the wrong people re-elected.
It's all about the money.
All about the money. And look, that's the thing, right? Like, and I mean, look, we were talking about before with the horrendous fires. Like, we lost 11 million hectares to that fire. 11 million hectares. Let alone, it was 3 trillion wildlife. 3 billion wildlife. I say trillion because there's no accountability for the insects, which are our backbone to any ecosystem is insects. We have no idea how many were destroyed and wiped out. So I'm going to go with the trillion. But again, leadership, where was he? He was off on a bloody holiday in Fiji, giving the shuckers. You just kind of shake your head and go, well, we need serious leadership on this. And look, at the same time, that's why he hasn't been invited to certain climate talks because, we carry on here in Australia like, oh, no, well, we're hitting our targets. No, we're not. But we are the biggest polluter per capita, the largest polluter per capita because of the amount of coal and gas we export overseas. So we are part of the problem instead of saying, oh, no, look, let's export solar energy, let's export, good stuff, not just constant, as we know, stuff that's dead. It's dead stuff. We burn it. It creates more dead stuff. And now we're in this problem right now where it's this basically, I mean, look, the thing that it's worrying, right? Like, look at what we just had. It's going to come even twofold, threefold, 5, 10-fold if we don't address this. So, and if we've only got several years, well, if you're not with the B Corp, if you're not with the 1% for the planet, if you're not changing your plant-based diet or even reducing half of your meat intake for your own health and the planet and the well-being of animals, if you're not looking into divestment, if you're not looking to go and plant trees and work with a local group, it doesn't have small, large, whatever, you kind of got to go, well, you're giving yourself an uppercut because it's going to come back and bite us all with further taxes, further humanitarian relief. I mean, they don't joke when they talk about refugees, world war sort of refugees because they've got no water. So I just kind of feel, if time's ticking, we need the good guys, especially the ones that are like us talking about it, being the positive. I don't know, it's been a bit doom and gloom, but the positive ones talking and engage and go, well, no, actually you can do this. No, you can do that, do this, do that. And then, sure, it's hard to work on us as people, but, these other people as well, like they've got to come, we've got to try and get them on board too. We've got to get everyone to meet halfway and sort of go, look, let's do this together. Let's do this as a whole. Because then we all win, right? We all win and it's a positive outcome.
Yeah. So on a more positive note, let's get into what HalfCut focuses on, like how specifically you guys are helping.
Yeah. So, mate, when we found out, I knew about this when I was in year 10, did my senior geography project on the Daintree. But when I learned that it's the world's oldest rainforest and 2/3 of it were carved up for development. So what that means is anyone could go there and go, oh, right, that's been for a development zone. I want to purchase that and I might just sit on it for now, or in time I might develop and build a house or, whatever I want to do. In some instances, though, some of the development entitlements were for broad scale animal agriculture. Just insane, right? Never should have happened. Here we are, happened in 1988, 1,138 lots carved up. So what we sort of did then is went, right, well, we linked up with other groups that had been doing work in the past. And so said, look, we've got this fun, unique approach to gauge the public and people to take action. Other great examples that the media linked us to, I'm sure you've heard of, is like Movember or the world's greatest shave. So, I mean, Movember, I think they've raised $1 billion in 18 years of operation from my research, $1 billion. So I was like, well, hey, it's just hair. We're not encouraging people to buy another product. It's just our facial hair. You can cut it off and grow it back or whatever. And so we started with buyback. So since 2019 till present, we're now up to 18 lots bought back. So it works out to be nearly 100 acres, which is around 54 hectares. It just shows, right? Like it's not massive, but it's bite-sized positive outcomes being achieved. And the whole goal is in the next 5 years or earlier, we want to buy back the rest of the Daintree, which works out to be 207 more lots or 400 plus hectares. gifted to lowland Daintree traditional owners to then be expanded onto the Daintree National Park. So the traditional custodians will be managing the cultural and the land and healing both culture and the land. So that's the Eastern Gugu Yalanji Barma mob. And then it's an expansion of Daintree National Park. The only risk we have there is if a government at the time then decided to release World Heritage value, which we don't believe will be the case because as we know, the Great Barrier Reef is right next to the Daintree, and the Great Barrier Reef has been given another 2 years before it's threatened. It is already threatened. There's no, we can't bullshit the issue here. It is already under threat. 50% of it is dead. That's under threat, right? That's heading towards extinct almost. So, and look, we know that requires a global effort with ensuring we keep our CO2 levels at that critical level, 350, when we're now at 417 parts per million. But then at the same time, the Daintree provides nutrients for the Great Barrier Reef, and the Great Barrier Reef protects the Daintree from more intense cyclones, which, boy, I'm not looking forward to the next one because we just know they're stronger, they're more intense, they're more damaging, and they're longer.
Yeah, so on your website, it says that you also help plant trees. Yeah. So you help buy back the Daintree, which is amazing. And then you also plant trees, correct?
Totally. So it's two halves. So I protect the old growth. So the beardy side is the old growth that just must be protected to continue that evolution, to continue biodiversity, continue carbon storage, water cycles, habitat for threatened and endangered species, like the mighty castor. And then the other half is we've signed up with the World Economic Forum with the 1 trillion trees initiative. So this is basically we needed to plant 1 trillion trees in the next 30 years to absorb the last 30 years of our carbon emissions. So it's all great stuff. No one group, no one government is going to do it ourselves. It has to be a collective. So we've put our hands up for rainforest trees because we have such incredible results. In 3 years, we have a canopy established from 3 to even 6 to 8 meters tall, and it's walk away. It's 101 different species of rainforest trees, habitat, and we just know they're going to get bigger and they're going to absorb more carbon. And hence the name, rainforests. Like Australia, for example, we're the second driest continent on Earth. The only other dry continent is Antarctica. So, it's an ice desert. So where we're at is if we want to prevent ourselves from further drought, further horrendous, all of it, fires, everything, we've got to get these rainforests and microclimates reestablished, which is a win for everyone. So, so the trillion trees is pretty exciting, but we're also doing that in the Philippines, we're doing it in India, and we're also doing it in Sumatra. Before the second wave of COVID came, the Delta kicked in, we were actually going to go and be cutting down 100 hectares of palm oil plantation that had encroached into a national park. And the company was like, yeah, sure. Well, yeah, we have buggered up here. We're happy for you to cut it down. But we won't be paying for it. You guys can cut it down and you can restore it. So, I mean, look, like anything, it's always a risk, especially in developing countries and, issues of corruption, but it's everywhere. That's just reality. I mean, look at the Daintree. 2/3 of it got released 6 months before it became World Heritage listed. How is that not corruption? Yeah. It's only a reward if you're not involved, and we're tapping away at that. We want to make aware the people who were behind that horrendous decision, and some fairly big players, were involved with that. So that's the other half. So protection and restoration. And that's why in March we do that fitness challenge. So we're all about, look, rewild your health, get out there, New Year's resolution, 30 minutes of well-being or 30 push-ups, 30 sit-ups, 30 squats every day. Every dollar that gets donated will establish 1 rainforest tree. So we say establish because it's a combination of tree planting and a combination of natural assisted restoration. So sometimes we go into these locations and we just remove all the weeds, and there's a whole seed bank of wonderful rainforest species below it, and boom, natural assisted restoration. It shoots up. So it really, if we have brilliant volunteers who come in and do this work with us, it hasn't cost us a lot. It's cost us, cup of teas and biscuits and whatnot and fruit and good times. And we can go, well, that was a bloody good outcome. And then when we do the tree planting, it's 1.5 to 1.8 meters apart methodology. different species, making sure species aren't going to overpower and pioneers and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's a wonderful process. And look, at the end of the day, like, we know we can do it. We just need more people on board, more donors. And the other exciting thing we've linked to there is biodiversity carbon credits. So we're able to give both the landholder, a corporate, the ability to offset their carbon and be carbon neutral, carbon negative. And it's a really exciting new space because for once, people can actually, farmers and corporates can actually benefit off these biodiversity carbon credits, and they can sell them at a premium. Mm. So if 3 years and on, you can start basically the carbon drawdown. But if you get to 5, 10, 15 years, you can then sell that carbon credit at a premium because it's got further carbon absorption, because rainforests do that really well. So yeah, it's exciting times. As I said, my heart of hearts, I kind of wish we had another 30 or 50 more years, but that's all right. We've been given a mandate in a way. So we've got to crack on with it. Yeah.
I want to take it back to palm oil, because this is something that I believe I've touched on the show. But guys, anytime you're buying a packaged product, which should not be very often, your food should not come in a package. If it says palm oil, first off, you should probably avoid it because it's not great for your health. It's an inflammatory oil. And if it does contain palm oil, make sure it is RSPO certified, which is a sustainable source of palm oil. So if it's not certified through them and you buy that product, you're contributing to the palm oil, basically forests that are cutting down the natural rainforest, and it's not a good thing. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and look, it's shocking, right? Like, there's now, as you mentioned, the sustainable palm oil. Like, out of all the oils out there, they actually do believe it is now the most sustainable oil. Again, that's it could be conflict of interest there, and are they independent reports and all the rest of it. But look, I just kind of feel, I mean, the current figures are saying at the moment, at this level of deforestation, in less than 100 years, all of our rainforests will be destroyed. 100 years, right? Like, that's, if we had kids, they're part of that, or definitely their grandkids. If they kids, they're part of that. Just gone, like, so. And then that's the other flip side. They're just saying, well, if it is the most sustainable palm oil, what needs to happen is, yes, maybe, these cutting them down and getting on with restoration and repairing. But yeah, it's crunch time with this as well. So any further, and then look, we know it's an issue of, these farmers being in poverty, high levels of poverty. They know that this is a quick, easy fix to getting out of poverty. And yeah, look, it really is. I wish I had a solution to that. It's a tricky one. What I do know during the pandemic is, unfortunately, deforestation and the black trade market has increased because there's been less levels of policing, and obviously people are just trying to survive. So yeah, look, I wish we had a solution to how we could address that. But I mean, ultimately, the way out that I do see is, fair income, green ecotourism, which is what we were doing in South America. With the wonderful conservationist Rosa Marie Ruzzi, who we went on her journey with what she was doing. She was buying back Amazonian, Peruvian rainforest, and having, the local indigenous people manage it with ecotourism and getting money off good money off the gringos. So they weren't having to cut it down, or they weren't having to allow, people coming in and, stealing sloths and all the other, spider monkeys and all the other, horrendous stuff that was going on. But I almost feel that is, but then again, we're in this COVID issue. How are people and when are people going to travel again to support local industries, to support protection? And look, I think this is one of the worrying things that we have been reading is, that, tourism actually was keeping these places safe and protected. And now, because there isn't that policing, people are just going in and, surviving or trying to get ahead of the game before things, get serious again. So, yeah, look, on that front, I really don't know how and where, because at the end of the day, right, we know you can have all the money in the world. We do. Like, we could fix this planet probably 150 times over with the amount of money on this planet, let alone blokes shooting off into bloody outer space in their rocket ships, right? Put that money into bloody Earth, will you? For Christ's sakes, Jesus, right. Let's get this rock sorted, right?
Yeah.
You bloody bastards. Seriously, stop this. You little dick games and shooting off into space. Get it sorted here. But yeah, it's just really, 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 really interesting to see if, as I mentioned before, like the amount of money, but as we know, all that money on Earth, it does that change the behavior of people as well. And that's the core element. We need to get that really community behavioral shift and change. And again, sure, it is education showing that, if you don't do this, we'll have more people coming to want to see it. But look, I think in a nutshell, we really are focusing heavily here on Australia at the moment, and we do want to go abroad. But at least here we do know we can manage it, and it's fair income outcomes being achieved. It's just not, like even our tree planting, we manage that for 3 years. Weeding, water, replacement, the forest, we are protecting the old growth. We're going through that process to ensure it's national park and protected, and traditional owners are on country to ensure, because this is the thing, right? Just because, it doesn't mean that squatters and other people don't then go into these forests. They do, so we need traditional owners there to say, look, you're not meant to be on country, bugger off. Politely, obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how it all goes, eh?
Yeah. So back to a more positive note, go ahead and run us through your 3 yearly fundraising campaigns.
Totally. So the PSS challenge in March, as I said, all fitness-based, do whatever you want. Encourage family and friends to join you. It can get competitive. Oh boy, we watched it this year, get competitive.
Good.
So that's what it's about, right? Like pushing each other, but for good and a good outcome. And look, linking it all back to health, being in nature is good for your mental health. It's all the science has shown it,
Yep.
So all those wonderful things, planting trees, all the rest of it. So that's that's in March. We've obviously just had the big, massive August campaign, raised over $845,000 or something at the moment. So that's a great outcome. 4 lots saved in the Daintree. We're going for the $1 million by the end of September. So, mate, you'll be part of that. So can't wait to see that. And then, the final and third one that we recycle year in, year out is the triple switch. So that happens in November. We're encouraging all our great half cutters to divest their bank, their super electricity. We talked about divestment earlier, basically not investing in the nasties, fossil fuels, animal agriculture, deforestation, many other things, but then moving over to more ethical products. So our B Corps, our 1% for the planet. And if there's anyone who's listening who wants to support HalfCut because they're with 1% or they're a B Corp, we're here. We want to work with you. We want to help you get a Daintree rainforest acre counter or square meter counter, or you might go, hey, we want to buy our own lot. That's what we're seeing at the moment. Or you can say, look, we want to be carbon neutral, carbon negative, and we like your biodiversity carbon credits. So we've got 2 awesome approaches here where people can go, great, right, I get it. Me as an individual, I can be carbon neutral and negative because we've got a brilliant app coming out, which will basically, just for example, you go and fill up your petrol because you have an electric vehicle because you might not be able to afford it at the moment. So you're filled up at a petrol station. You can then go into your app and we can offset that purchase. So you can go, right, I don't feel as bad. I've offset that purchase. And then on top of that, we then go to that corporate or that business and go, hey, look, your consumer has just offset they've gone carbon neutral. Why don't you match it? Let's double the impact so we get double the trees established in the ground. And then it puts the ownership and the pressure back on the corporate to act because, there's that whole mentality, the corporates have just got to act. Well, no, bugger that. You as the consumer, you've got a choice to make as well.
Yep.
So we've flipped the choice and the decision on the consumer and on the corporate. So that's going to be, we believe, a real awesome game changer where people can go, right, okay, I'm doing my bit. And again, the whole idea of all of this is so they become storytellers. So when they're out their next barbecue or on Zoom or, whatever, they can go, someone going, oh, isn't it terrible? It's like, yeah, well, of course it is. We all know that. But no, you need those storytellers to go, oh, but hey, it is. But I've got this app and every time I go out, if it's a shirt, if it's food, whatever, I'm a carbon neutral man or a woman or a child. I'm doing my bit, and hey, actually, they're actually pressuring these corporates. So the idea is, hopefully, the corporate gets it and they're smart and goes, no, this is a good outcome. And actually, these guys have got it; they're doing it all for us. We don't have to really do a lot here. All we've got to do is give the cash, to up, for that individual or for a larger chunk, or better still, we can help that corporate become carbon neutral, carbon negative. Because really, that whole space, in carbon credits, in my opinion, it's a complete smokescreen. It's greenwashing. How can you have a carbon credit of a monoculture of the same species of plant, and then in 15, 30 years, you can cut it down? That's, I don't believe in that. Where I believe in is a biodiversity carbon credit, where it's habitat for wildlife, it's carbon drawdown, it's adding to the water cycle, it's food. So we're integrating food systems within these carbon biodiversity carbon credits, which is a game changer. So what I mean by that, it's like traditional owner bush tucker, or large scale of jackfruits, because we know jackfruit is now booming with the whole plant-based / vegan industry and a mock meat alternative. So then there is going to be money and value, and people are going to benefit from this, and especially even the landholders. So working with farmers who want to engage in regenerative agriculture, really excited about that, because sure, they've been through the generations of creating that damage, but now we're getting the good ones. So like, no, look, I'm really concerned about this. This is not good. I've seen the horrendous changes in climate. Again, as we were saying before, if you could bet on, seasons changing and, it's another record for another hottest year. So they're getting this, and they're seeing the rewards with the microclimates coming back. So I guess these are the case studies that we need to keep championing, and the individuals and the storytellers that they just got to keep on storytelling, keep on being at it, but proactive with positive outcomes is obviously what we want to do. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if people want to donate, which I hope all of my listeners, if you're hearing this, you will want to donate. I am certainly going to donate. Where can we do that?
Mate, look straight to HalfCut. Just www.halfcut.org is where they can donate. But, mate, I reckon you get them to all hold off and donate to your page, mate. Captain Taylor, get them all donating to your HalfCut page, getting behind, your community getting behind you, which I think would be brilliant. And then we can showcase that as well. So, mate, look forward to you setting up your profile. Oh, actually, better still, mate, why don't you get your community to join your team? So if you got, instead of doing it solo. Yeah, so look, you can either do it as an individual, which is great. Some people are like, no, look, I just need to do this for me. That's what I want to do. And we're like, yep, 100%. What we found, the power is in teams and bringing your mates or your families or your community or supporters on board with your team. So classic example, we have a bank that came on board, Bank Australia. In Australia, they're probably the most ethical bank available, if there's such a thing. So they don't invest in animal agriculture, deforestation, fossil fuels. They've got their bottom line where they don't. Their team was around 35 people in total, of customers and also employees, and they raised nearly $300,000.
Wow.
So it just shows that when you do it as a team, we're stronger, stronger together. And wonderful Auntie Lynn, the chairwoman of Jabalbina Yalanji Aboriginal Corporation up in far north Queensland, part of the Daintree, one of the areas they manage with the 8 different clans. She always says to me, Jimmy, it's stronger together. It's reconciliation every day. Working together is the way forward. And they know that, we know that. So same thing with you, mate. I reckon you bring your community on board, and who knows, right? You have fun with it. And that's the key. If you have fun with it, you're already, it's a winner automatically, right? So, and if you raise funds, that's just incredible as well.
Yeah. So I'm actually doing that right now. I think this is the right way, just on your website, and then scroll down and it says I'm in right under that,
Yep.
HalfCut thing. Okay.
Yep. Sign in. So sign in, and then you sign up as an individual, and then you create your team. So once you've created your team, you share that link with family and friends and say, hey, look, this is the mandate. I go HalfCut on this date. I've already got the awesome undercuts going on the side there, good sir. So you're already half cutting away, but you're going to go, hey, look, mate, set the bar high, set it at a target. You're only going half cut if you reach $1,000 or whatever, right? Put the onus on it, because you're being brave and courageous. But in saying that as well, when you actually do the HalfCut, that's when people tend to flock in with donations. But yeah, I reckon, mate, invite your community, share that link with them, and say, if you want to join us on this day, this is the mandate. We do it. We're protecting the world's oldest rainforest, and ultimately, mate, hopefully, we have got this pandemic under control, and you can come over and see what you saved. You can put your hand and your feet in the soil, in the ground, in the rivers, in the creeks, taste the incredible fruits and essence of the Daintree, the world's oldest rainforest, and be like, yep, we're part of this. I think that's the tangible outcome that I think a lot of our half-cutters and our supporters embrace. It's not just like, where'd that money go? What happened to that? It's like, no, this is what we've achieved with it, guys.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just setting up my profile now. So for everybody listening, and this link will be in the show notes, but it's go.halfcut.org/Taylor-Morgan. And this link will be in the show notes of this podcast. And that's where we'll bring all the donations. And I'm very excited to go half cut for this. And for everybody who doesn't have facial hair, you kind of brought this up at the beginning. What are some other ways that people can go half cut and support this without having a beard?
Totally right. So if you've got long hair, half braid, or you might do an undercut or side cut, or all of it can go. You might rock the half cut eyebrow. I lost that live on telly a couple of weeks back.
I saw that.
Yeah. Look, even your t-shirts, like we had people being really creative and cutting, doing some home, crafts and arts. Like they were getting a flannel shirt and a simple, and just stitching it together. Right. We saw cupcakes. We saw food being half cut, baked. So baking half cut foods and just taking photos of it and saying, hey, look, did you know half the world's forests were gone? That's not cool. So this is what half cut are doing. So look, it's ultimately, it's open to interpretation to whatever you want to do with your half cut look. I mean, I think the half makeup was a cool one this year. Half fingernails, different, I think that's the thing. Well, what's the next? As I mentioned, the bloke mowing half the lawn. It's look, half cut whatever you want. So, actually, that one that was actually quite creative was people doing the dye. So the half dye. So they're dyeing half their beard if it was bleached, or even half their hair. So it's sort of like bring it on. Who's the next most creative half cutter? I guess that's what I'm looking forward to.
Sweet. One thing that I wanted to clarify is I'm just looking at this now. There's an option to start a team. So
that's it. So you've created your individual now. So now you can create Captain Taylors.
Okay.
So that's your team. So once you've got that team up, you can then share that team link.
Okay. And is that like
so what will happen is any donations you get to your individual one will go to your team tally. So let's just imagine you have 10 wonderful supporters, family and friends join your team. You all go, you basically, your goal increases because you're doing it together.
Oh,
so
okay.
Stronger together, more donations together, better result together. And then ultimately, mate, what happens is people, because, it's all in our human nature, we all get a bit cheeky and, the friendly competition kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he got that donation. I've got to beat that. I'm not going to let that happen. So, and then that's ultimately what we watch is this just fun human nature kick in of competitiveness, which is awesome, right? Because we do need competitiveness. Sure, it's not about who's the winner. It's the ultimate winner is the Daintree and the planet and climate and animals and all the rest of it. But it's good to see, look, we can get hungry and competitive for nature. So that's the whole goal.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. So again, for everybody listening, the link to donate will be go.halfcut.org/Taylor-Morgan. And then once I create the team, I'll, there'll be other people promoting this as well to go half cut.
Love it.
Wow. All right, Jimmy, this is going to be exciting. And
awesome, mate.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show and spreading the awareness because God knows it needs to happen now.
Totally right. No, mate, you're a brilliant earth brother. I know we're on different sides of the world, but mate, we're all in this together, right? So, mate, thank you for all you're doing and having myself and HalfCut to hopefully inspire a few other more people to make individual positive action and be the positive disruptors that we need right now. So I look forward to seeing yours HalfCut. And maybe let us know. Maybe we can jump on and do a live Zoom or an Instagram or let me know if you want to do that. The Zooms worked really well where we bring all the family and friends and even other HalfCutters in. It almost becomes a bit of a fundraising day. So if you're keen for that, mate, all ears and half beard will make it happen as well with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And when this episode goes live, I also like to go live on Instagram with
awesome.
With my guests to kind of cross promote it as well. So we can do that
Done.
too. Perfect.
Done, mate. Lock it in, mate. Keep up the wonderful work, mate. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, Jimmy.